What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Alright, so Korra trends as fans defend the Avatar's character. As many of y'all probably already know, Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra are now on Netflix, and it's brought renewed attention to both of these shows, and it's expanded the fan base. You know, these shows have been off air for a while now, and I will say this: as a kid, I was a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan. I thought it was one of the most brilliant cartoons of all time, one of them at least. And as an adult, when I rewatch it, I still kind of feel that way. Like, I mean, it's unique. It had this, it would have these ideals of, I don't know, that they bring out that you're never too far for redemption, that you can overcome any obstacle in your way. Friendship is powerful. It had all of these like good traits, or good kind of ways about it, that it taught you kind of like a moralistic journey while you are, being entertained. Stuff that is powerful. Words are, to a certain extent, words are powerful. I'm not gonna go so far as a lot of these millennials and believe that words ruin your life, because they don't. Let's face it. Sorry, guys, they don't. But I'm still a part of that generation. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I'm still of that mindset, but I do believe that words do have power to inspire people. And I believe that some of the topics that they talked about on Avatar: The Last Airbender, of overcoming obstacles, and like I said, of you're never too far gone for redemption. Those are family. There's another thing that it would be the love of family that it brought out. I mean, it just it had all these great topics that it always spoke on, and it was truthful about it, and it really hit home hard in a lot of ways. Sadly, The Legend of Korra did not have that. Avatar: The Last Airbender had a great protagonist and a great antagonist. The Legend of Korra had neither. The characters almost across the board on Avatar: The Last Airbender were interesting, really thought-provoking characters. The Legend of Korra, they were just so one-dimensional. And then the villains were just one-dimensional. The villains, what drove me crazy with the villains in The Legend of Korra, that everybody is now, I guess, taking up for, about this entire show, is that the villains in The Legend of Korra, they would try to talk on topics of like anarchy and things along those lines, like political topics. And you could tell that the person that had wrote the episode was trying to be deep, but had no idea what exactly anarchy truly is, or of any of these kind of totalitarianism or whatever they were trying to bring out. They had no idea the exact definition or exactly what they were talking about, in that it was like such a basic concept. It was like somebody that saw it on a shirt and was like, that's a cool idea, we'll make that some kind of in-depth thing. That's like those type of people that they'll tattoo anarchy or something on their arms and think that it means something, and then they find out later that it's actually a completely different idea than what they think, and it's something that they would never be for in a million years. But that was what The Legend of Korra was all about. It was just one-dimensional characters with stupid storylines, boring world around it, boring side characters, boring protagonists, boring antagonists, just a boring world in general. But thanks to a renewed effort by Netflix to bring these shows into focus, fans are now debating Korra and why a lot of fans believe that Korra actually failed and Aang did not. And I want to get to this because I think this article is so wrong in so many different ways, but I'll go ahead and read it. After CBR posted an article on Korra to Twitter, fans such as Carousel were quick to defend the titular character, their defense then causing the Legend of Korra to trend on the site. Particularly, their defense was calling attention to the double standard of uplifting characteristics such as arrogance, stubbornness, and being hot-headed in male characters, but then decrying female characters for harboring the same traits. While the Twitter user acknowledges that the article wasn't entirely bad, they do point out that the headline and overall use of rhetoric, such as annoying to describe female characters, is disappointing. Korra's character has been an inspiration for many fans due to her strength, resilience, and bravery. Additionally, Korra is beloved by the show's allusions to her possibly belonging to the LGBTQ plus community, showcased when signs of her developing a romantic relationship with her female best friend Asami appear. The relationship was confirmed in the canonical comics that continue beyond the show. However, it is no secret that Korra is often criticized for being a lesser avatar than Aang, the protagonist of the original Avatar, exemplified by many of the Twitter users debating this again. This is... See, they want to bring out the LGBTQ thing about Korra. And, to be honest with you, I think that's just at the center of this. That they want this character to be great because of her connection to that. And they will defend this character because of that connection. But let's face it, she was a lesser Aang. And it's not that people were attacking her for doing the exact same things as what Aang did. Aang, at the end of the day, yes, Aang had those moments where, I will say, I remember I thought he was a little bit too whiny at times. He was whiny, but he would overcome that. There was a level of progression in him that you saw from the beginning to the end. You saw a progression in Aang. Korra never showed any progression. In fact, Korra would even go so far as, instead of growing as a character, she would instead just place her feet in the sand and say, this is basically the rock I'm going to die on. Like, that was her version of it. Even when she was wrong, she was that way. Wasn't necessarily a character that learned to grow. I can't help but think that this is just has more to do with a societal difference of opinion, or wanting to try to boost it up for that reasons, because of her being a member of the LGBTQ thing. I feel like it has more to do with being a part of the LGBTQ community than it actually does people actually believing that Korra was actually a great character in general. And that kind of disappoints me, because while I am not a fan of The Legend of Korra, I do believe that both these shows should be compared on their own merits. There were some interesting things that was in The Legend of Korra. It wasn't all bad. They brought some kind of... I kind of liked the world a little bit that they had. I mean, I would say, I was trying to think of some great things about it, and I really can't. But overall, I feel like both these shows should be judged on their merits, not because of what community Korra was in or not. I don't really think that really is a part of what this show is about. I also don't believe that this show, that fans hated Korra because or was showing a double standard to Korra that they didn't show with Aang. A lot of fans will admit, hey, Aang was really whiny. He was really stubborn. But you know what? There was always that part, whether it was a mentor of his or one of his friends or allies, would always show him the right direction to take. And he was selfless. He was willing to give up everything once he realized what it meant to be a hero. He was willing to go that extra mile. Korra to me, just stayed that same bratty teenager that you saw from the very beginning of episode 1 all the way to the very end. That's the reason why that show didn't do good, guys. I'm sorry. That's just the reason. We can try to say, well, it's over sexism, it's over anti-LGBTQ, anti-LGBTQ community feelings or whatever. But the truth is it was just a really bad show. It really was. It was just a bad show. It was one of those shows that the showrunners believed that just because of the name of it and its connection to Avatar: The Last Airbender, they thought that it would be a hit with fans, and it wasn't. Too often we see this, not just with The Legend of Korra, but we see it with other shows that are, they just have that belief that, hey, we've got this name on here, and it's already got a fan base, and they'll buy into anything. And that's just not always the case. It didn't happen with Star Wars, and it didn't happen with Avatar: The Last Airbender. That movie, Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though it was about Aang, or they said Ong, in that series, or in that movie was hailed as terrible by fans of that show. So it's not like we're not taking a constructive criticism of Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're just, as fans, when you compare the two shows together, which they should be compared to each other, because, they are of the same nature. So I don't mind that comparison. But when they are compared together, The Legend of Korra, there's just no way around it. Legend of Korra is just lesser quality. It might have been more beautiful visually, but it was not. But besides the whole visual aspects of it, it was just they had really one-dimensional characters. Korra could have been something, but she was a one-dimensional character, and so was basically everything. What was her name that she was with in the show? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. I can't even think of her name now. Asami, or whatever the name, that girl that she was in a relationship with in the show, was, talk about that character. That character was boring. Asami. That character was straight up boring. But it wasn't just Asami and Korra that was boring. It was the two brothers that was on the show. I can't even think of their name now. They were boring. It was that whole stupid, I don't know, a sport that they did where, they got together and, I don't know, did earthbending or something like that. That was stupid. That was just stupid all the way around. The whole narration thing was stupid. Trying to get that 1920s along with that punk kind of like feel to it. It just, nothing worked. Just nothing worked about that show. So, yeah, I do kind of take a little bit of exception to when they are trying to say, well, it's because of sexism or anti-LGBTQ sentiment that caused Korra to be unfairly treated compared to Aang. And I think that is that's not fair to even Korra, and that's not fair to Aang. either, because Aang was such a brilliant character, and Korra was such a piss poor character that that really should have that could have been made into something. I mean, it did have potential. Could have been made into something, but it just she, along with every other character on that show, lacked depth. They were all one dimensional across the board. Like I said, even the ideologies of the villains was really one dimensional. It was just really like basic knowledge of it. It's like if you just, like I said, if you looked up those ideologies on a shirt and you're like, that sounds cool, I'm going to go make that, I don't know, the ideology of my life now. That was the ground that they were in, even with that. And they tried to make it in depth, but it just wasn't. I mean, anybody could see that. And I think a fair-minded individual would look at that and go, you know what? That's kind of bogus that they're trying to make excuses for this show. I wouldn't mind a redo of it. You know, if they want to do a redo of this show, reboot it or something along those lines, I would be up for a reboot of The Legend of Korra. I would be up for it if they would make this character more interesting than what she was. I even thought Aang's son in this, Aang's children in this was just, they were horrible. They were horrible. I mean, so it wasn't even my love of Aang didn't even carry on to this show. Like, he was boring from the little parts that we saw of him in this show. So, I mean, it's like in flashbacks and other things, like he didn't turn out the way that I necessarily had envisioned him either. So, I'm just saying, this show was just bad from beginning to end. So, let's just call it what it is. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. This show was just bad. And it wasn't for any other reason than it was just bad. You want to make it into something that people will have a lasting impression of it, reboot it and see if you can make this character a little bit more interesting. I believe that there is some there. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to believe that they could do that. And I would be up for that. But until then, stop making excuses for a bad show. Just stop it. As always, guys, take care.